Level 1, the street orphan. You wake when the baker kicks you. Dawn light cuts between buildings. Your ribs show through torn cloth. The cobblestones are cold, always cold. You move before the guards make their rounds. That is the correct answer. You know their schedule. Everyone has a schedule, even you. The bread sits 3 steps from the counter. The baker turns to his ovens. You take what you need, nothing more. Greed gets you caught. Smart gets you fed. Your fingers know which loaves are still warm. Those sell first. Those get missed first. A coin falls from a merchant's purse. You see it hit the stones. So does the boy across the street. He moves. You move faster. The coin disappears into your palm. He gets nothing. You get tonight's meal. The shadows teach you patience. Doorways teach you silence. Empty buildings teach you how to disappear. You learn which roofs connect, which walls crumble, which windows never latch. The city becomes your map. Every alley has value. Every crowd has opportunity. You sleep where the wind cannot find you, behind the temple steps, under the bridge arches, inside the abandoned granary when the rain comes. You wake often. Footsteps mean danger. Voices mean someone is coming. Silence means safety. But silence never lasts. The other orphans watch you succeed where they fail. You eat when they starve. You stay warm when they shiver. They whisper your name like a question. How does she always know? How does she always escape? You never answer. Answers make you common. Mystery makes you valuable. A man in expensive robes drops his purse outside the forum. On purpose, you can tell. The way he lets it fall. The way he does not look back. The way he walks exactly slow enough for someone quick to catch him. This is not chance. This is a test. You follow at a distance, through the market, past the fountain, around the senator's villa. He knows you are there. He wants you there. When he finally turns, his eyes find yours immediately, like he knew exactly where to look. You have been watching me, he says, but I have been watching you longer. Your hand finds the knife you stole last week, the one you keep sharp, the one you have never had to use. His smile suggests you will not need it today. His smile suggests many things. There's more to learn than stealing bread, he continues. There are greater hungers to satisfy, greater skills to master. He extends his hand, palm up, empty, waiting. The cycle continues. Level 2, the recruited. The hooded figure keeps their promise. You sleep on straw that doesn't freeze. You eat bread that isn't moldy. Your stomach stops cramping for the first time in months. That counts for something. They call it the preparatory phase. You wake before dawn in a stone chamber beneath the city. No windows, no natural light. Time becomes the rhythm of lessons. Movement without sound. Observation without being seen. Memory without writing anything down. Your instructor never removes their hood, never gives their name. You call them magistra when you must speak at all. Speaking is discouraged. Hand signals replace words. 23 gestures that mean everything from wait to kill to abort mission immediately. You practice them until your fingers move without thought. The walking lessons start simple. Heel to toe across the stone floor. No scraping, no shuffling. Your feet learn to read surfaces through thin leather soles. Marble sounds different than wood. Wood sounds different than packed earth. Each surface has its own language of silence. They teach you to breathe differently. Shallow breaths from your chest, never deep ones from your belly. Deep breathing makes noise. Shallow breathing keeps you invisible. Your ribs begin to ache from the constant control. You memorize faces from wooden masks hung on the wall. Senators, merchants, military commanders. Their features become as familiar as your own reflection. You learn their habits from detailed scrolls. Senator Marcus Flavius takes the same route to the baths every 4th day. General Quintus Maximus drinks alone after reviewing troop reports. Merchant Gaius Scribonius counts his gold at sunset when his servants leave. The other recruits arrive one by one, 5 total. You never learn their real names. You become Corvus. The others are Lupus, Aquila, Serpens, Vulpes. Animal names for people who must become less than human. Your old clothes disappear. They give you a simple brown tunic, soft leather sandals, a cloak that doesn't catch on corners or rustle when you move. The fabric feels expensive against your skin. You've never worn anything this fine. The meals come at irregular times, sometimes before dawn, sometimes at midday, sometimes not at all. Your stomach learns uncertainty. Your body learns that comfort can vanish without warning. The steady food was the first gift. The hunger returns as the first lesson. You sleep when they tell you to sleep. You wake when they shake your shoulder. Your dreams become lighter. You never fall into deep sleep anymore. Part of you stays alert even when unconscious. The preparatory phase lasts exactly 40 days. At the end, Magistra places a wooden dagger in your hand. The handle fits your grip perfectly. Tomorrow, you learn what it's really for. Level 3, the Initiate. You practice blade work until your fingers bleed while memorizing the names of Roman senators. The gladius feels heavier each day. Your wrists ache from the repetitive strikes against the wooden post. Splinters embed in your palms. The trainer corrects your stance with a wooden rod across your shoulders. That is the correct answer. The memorization comes in waves. Marcus, Junius, Brutus, Gaius, Cassius, Longinus, Lucius, Tillius, Cimber. You recite them while you eat. You whisper them while you sleep. 23 names for the Ides alone. 47 current senators, their wives, their children, their estates, their guards. The information burns pathways in your mind until you dream in conspiracies. Your cell grows smaller. Stone walls, iron door, a slot for food twice daily, bread and watered wine, sometimes meat if you complete the day without error. The other initiates speak in whispers during the evening meal. 3 have been taken to the deeper chambers. 2 returned. 1 did not. You learn the art of the stiletto, 7 inches of sharpened iron. The blade slides between ribs like thread through cloth. Practice on captured criminals. Practice on slaves marked for execution. The trainer guides your hand to the precise angle. Between the 3rd and 4th rib, upward thrust. The heart stops before the scream begins. Sleep comes in fragments. Your shoulders burn from holding assassination postures for hours. Crouch behind a pillar, blend into a crowd, walk like a merchant, talk like a citizen. Every gesture must be perfect. Every word must belong. The penalty for detection is crucifixion. The penalty for failure is worse. Letters arrive with fresh intelligence. Senator Gaius Scribonius Curio takes his evening walks alone. His guards dismiss at sunset. He favors the gardens near the Tiber. The information feels warm in your hands. Real names, real places, real blood waiting to spill. Your reflection shows changes. Leaner face, harder eyes, calloused hands that know the weight of steel. The boy who entered these chambers exists only in fragments now. You eat differently. You breathe differently. You watch doorways and count exits without thinking. The trainer announces your elevation. You will shadow an active member on assignment. You will observe. You will learn. You will not act unless commanded. The stiletto feels natural against your thigh now. The senators' names flow like prayers. Your fingers no longer bleed. Down in the lower chambers, fresh prisoners arrive. Young faces, desperate eyes. They clutch at hope, like drowning men clutch driftwood. The trainer selects 3 for the trials. Their screams echo through stone corridors as you sharpen your blade. They have no idea what's coming. Level 4, the shadow. You disappear into crowds like water into sand. The Forum Romanum becomes your hunting ground. Its marble columns and vendor stalls your natural camouflage. You wear the plain tunic of a merchant's son, the worn sandals of someone who walks long distances for copper coins. Nothing about you catches the eye. Nothing about you lingers in memory. Your targets never see you watching. The senator who buys his morning bread from the same baker every dawn. The centurion who visits his mistress on the Aventine Hill each 7th day. The grain merchant who counts his profits in the same tavern, always choosing the corner table where his back faces the wall. You know their patterns better than they know themselves. The guild gives you 3 targets to study simultaneously. You memorize their faces in different light, their gaits when tired versus alert, the way they gesture when angry versus pleased. You learn who they trust, who they fear, who they ignore. A shadow sees everything the light reveals and everything it conceals. Your own reflection becomes foreign. You practice different walks until your natural gait feels awkward. You alter your posture, your breathing, the way you hold your hands. In the morning mirror, you see a face that could belong to anyone. That is the point. That is the skill they pay you to perfect. The other initiates respect your invisibility now. When you enter the dormitory, conversations pause, not from fear, but from professional recognition. You have learned to move through the world without disturbing its surface. That counts for something. Your handler assigns you longer watches. 12 hours, following a target through their entire day. Sunrise prayers at their household shrine. The route they take to their business. Which friends they greet, which servants they trust. With messages. The wine they prefer, the prostitutes they favor, the bathhouse where they scrape oil from their skin. You catalog it all. The price reveals itself slowly. You forget how to be seen. In the market, vendors look through you to the customer behind. Old friends from your neighborhood pass without recognition. Your own mother hesitates when you visit home, studying your face like she is trying to remember someone she met years ago. Sleep becomes difficult. Your mind replays the day's observations, sorting details, searching for patterns. The senator touches his left shoulder when nervous. The centurion's limp worsens when it rains. The merchant checks over his shoulder exactly 7 times between his house and the forum. Information accumulates behind your eyes like sediment in a wine cup. You are becoming very good at watching. You are forgetting how to be watched. Soon, they will teach you what shadows do when the watching ends. Level 5, the blade. You receive your first true contract. Not surveillance, not message delivery, not gathering whispers in crowded markets. A name on parchment, a location, a deadline 3 days hence. The parchment burns in your hand after you memorize every detail. The ashes scatter in wind that carries no forgiveness. Your target bathes every 3rd day at the house of Minerva. A merchant who sells grain to the legions, but keeps 2 sets of ledgers, one for Rome, one for himself. The difference feeds his villa, while soldiers march on empty stomachs. Your employer wants this corrected with finality. You study the bathhouse for 2 full days, the servant entrances, the drainage channels, where steam hangs thickest, how voices echo off marble walls, which corridors stay empty during the afternoon heat. You map every shadow that could hide a blade or conceal a body until discovery. The blade itself weighs almost nothing in your palm. Bronze mixed with metals whose names you do not know. Sharp enough to part silk, narrow enough to slip between ribs without catching bone. The handle wrapped in leather that will not slip when wet with blood or bathwater. You have practiced with this weight until your hand forgets it carries death. On the appointed day, you enter through the slave quarters. Your tunic marks you as belonging. A basin of oils in your hands explains your presence. Nobody questions a servant with purpose written in their posture. You learned this months ago. Invisibility is not magic. It is simply being exactly what people expect to see. The steam room holds 6 men. Your target sits against the far wall, eyes closed, completely relaxed. Trusting in walls and guards that mean nothing to someone who understands the spaces between protection. You set the basin beside him, lean close as if to offer oils. The blade finds the space below his ribs, enters clean, exits cleaner. His eyes open. Meet yours. He tries to speak, but produces only bubbles in water that turns red around his chest. You hold his gaze until the light leaves. That counts for something. In this work, you do not look away from what you have purchased with another man's breath. The other bathers notice nothing until you are already gone. Steam hides everything until screaming starts. By then, you walk through markets 3 streets away, the blade cleaned and concealed. Your heart beats steady. Your hands do not shake anymore. That night you find wine tastes different. Food loses flavor for reasons you cannot name. Sleep comes in fragments interrupted by dreams where steam turns red over and over. You killed a man today. The knowledge sits in your chest like swallowed iron, heavy, permanent. changing the shape of everything around it. The coin purse they leave in your quarters contains more silver than you have ever seen. Blood money spends exactly like honest wages. Perhaps that should trouble you more than it does. Level 6, the specialist. You no longer kill with your hands. That was crude, amateur. Now you study the senator's morning routine for 6 months before placing a single drop of oleander extract in his wine cup. He dies at his own feast, choking on laughter as the paralysis takes him. The physician calls it a weak heart. You call it Tuesday. Your workshop beneath the Subura smells of mercury and nightshade, glass vials line shelves carved into stone. Each poison has its signature belladonna for the violent seizure that looks like divine punishment, hemlock for the peaceful fade that suggests old age. You test dosages on condemned criminals. The praetor pays you extra for the service. Rome loves efficiency. The accidents are your finest work. You spend weeks studying the marble staircase in the patrician's villa, calculating the exact pressure needed to loosen the third step. When Marcus Aurelius Calvus tumbles to his death, his slaves swear the gods were angry about his unpaid temple donations. You collect your fee from his grateful nephew. That counts for something. Your methods spread through whispered reputation. Clients no longer specify quick or clean. They request your signature. The dissolved senator, the stumbling equestrian, the sleeping matron who simply never woke. Each death becomes a story the city tells itself about fate and divine justice. You have become mythology, but mastery isolates. You cannot share your knowledge, cannot teach your techniques, cannot explain to anyone why you spent 3 hours yesterday perfecting a knot that will hold for exactly the time it takes a man to drown in shallow water. Your workshop is a tomb of secrets. You enter alone. You work alone. You leave alone. The guild summons you less frequently now. Your services cost more than hiring 10 blade men. Clients must prove worthy of your attention. You reject contracts that bore you. Turn away work that lacks artistry. The guild master warns you about pride. You ignore him. What does a bureaucrat understand about craft? Sleep comes in fragments between nightmares of your own methods. You dream of tasting your own poisons. Feel phantom ropes around your throat. Wake to check your food, your wine, your door latches. Paranoia is the specialist's tax. Everyone knows your face now. Everyone knows what you do. Everyone wonders if you might do it to them. Your fingers stain permanent brown from handling mercury compounds. Your sense of taste deadened from sampling diluted toxins. Your nose burns constantly from chemical fumes. The tools that make you invaluable are destroying you molecule by molecule. But the work calls. Another name, another method, another invisible death that will look like anything but murder. The cycle continues. Level 7, the hunter. You hunt your own kind now. The Brotherhood has enemies within, and you are the blade that cuts them out. Former brothers who sold contracts to rival families. Sisters who whispered locations to Roman guards. The broken ones who cracked under interrogation and named names. They run. You follow. Your targets know every trick you know because they learned them in the same training grounds. They recognize your footstep patterns on rooftops. They spot the same hand signals you use. They know which alleys you prefer for ambush work. This makes them dangerous in ways civilians never were. It also makes them predictable. You receive assignments through dead drops in temple alcoves. Never face-to-face meetings anymore. The scroll contains a name, a last known location, and sometimes a small personal detail. Marcus favors wine shops near the forum. Julia always carries 2 daggers, never 1. Details that matter when seconds decide survival. Your quarters hold trophies now. Rings taken from cooling fingers. Distinctive weapons claimed as proof of completion. A curved Syrian blade. A Gallic throwing axe. Egyptian poison needles. Each piece tells the story of a hunt concluded. The other assassins avoid your room. They cross themselves when they pass your door. The tracking work consumes months per target. You study their new identities, map their safe houses, learn their changed routines. You discover that Gaius has been living as a baker in Ostia for 2 years. His bread is excellent. His customers trust him completely. He still practices blade work every morning behind his shop before dawn. Muscle memory never fades. You corner them in familiar places, former Brotherhood locations they cannot resist visiting. The old training courtyard, the shrine where you all swore your first oaths. They come seeking connection to what they abandoned. You come seeking completion of contract terms. The kills feel different. These targets fight with your own techniques. They know your preferred entry points. They anticipate your feints. The combat lasts longer, leaves more marks. You return from assignments with wounds that take weeks to heal properly. Your face carries new scars. Your hands shake for days after particularly difficult eliminations. You eat meals alone now. The other assassins whisper theories about your assignments. They speculate about which of their friends simply disappeared versus which ones you were sent to find. Trust becomes complicated when your reputation grows around hunting Brotherhood members. Everyone wonders if their name might appear on your next scroll. Sleep comes in fragments. You dream of faces you have studied for months, their new lives, their children who call them by false names, their genuine moments of happiness before you arrived. That baker made good bread. His customers will wonder what happened to him. Level 8, the mentor. You watch them stumble through basic knife forms in the underground training chamber beneath the Subura. 20 new recruits, all desperate, all hungry. Half will be dead within 6 months. The other half will wish they were. Your hands no longer shake when you demonstrate the killing stroke. Muscle memory carved from 15 years of wet work. You show them how to find the subclavian artery, how to puncture a lung without hitting bone, how to make a senator's death look like a wine-soaked accident on marble stairs. They watch with wide eyes. They think they understand. You assign reading. Aristotle on friendship, Cicero on duty, Marcus Aurelius on acceptance. They expect poison recipes and blade maintenance. Instead, you teach them philosophy because killers who think only of death die young. The smart ones take notes. The others complain about wasted time until they meet their first target face to face. The imperial contracts flow through your network now, not just tavern brawlers and cheating merchants. You coordinate the removal of a governor whose grain taxes threaten 3 provinces. You arrange the quiet elimination of a general whose loyalty wavers between emperors. Each death requires months of preparation, teams of specialists, backup plans layered like onion skins. Your villa overlooks the Tiber. Slaves tend gardens you never see in daylight. Your wine cellar holds amphorae worth more than most Romans earn in a lifetime. You host dinner parties where senators discuss philosophy while their wives sample delicacies from across the empire. None of them know your true profession. They assume inherited wealth, perhaps shipping investments. The loneliness cuts deeper than any blade ever has. You remember every recruit's name, every contract's details, every target's final expression. Sleep comes in fragments between memories that visit like unwanted guests. You wake at the 3rd hour of night, always. Your dreams taste of copper and sound like pleading. Your best student approaches after combat training. She reminds you of yourself at that age, all sharp edges and desperate hunger. She asks about advanced techniques, about imperial contracts, about when she might earn true recognition. You see the ambition burning behind her eyes. The same flame that once drove you forward now lights her path. You begin teaching her the deeper lessons. How to read imperial court dynamics from wedding guest lists, how to identify potential successors before the current target knows he is marked, how to cultivate informants in bathhouses, brothels, and basilicas. She absorbs everything with the focused intensity of someone who has chosen her fate. The training never stops. New recruits arrive monthly. Orders flow from shadows within shadows. The Empire's stability depends on calculated removals, surgical strikes, problems that simply disappear. You shape killers who will outlive you, carry forward techniques you perfected, complete contracts you initiated. Another young face appears in your doorway, ready to learn. Level 9, the Executor. You sit in rooms where maps of the Empire cover every wall. Your finger traces trade routes that will never matter if the wrong man lives past tomorrow. The scroll in your hand contains 3 names. Each name represents a different future for Rome. The Emperor trusts you completely. He calls you his most faithful advisor. You nod when he speaks of his grand plans for the provinces. You agree that his son would make an excellent heir. You schedule meetings with senators who will be dead before the Ides arrive. The irony sits heavy in your chest, but your face shows nothing. Your network spans from Britannia to Syria. A single coded message from you sets 20 separate plans in motion. The grain merchant in Alexandria stops his shipments. The centurion in Germania receives new orders. The courtesan in Antioch whispers different secrets. You have spent decades placing these pieces. Now you move them with surgical precision. You wear the finest togas. Your villa overlooks the forum. Slaves bring you wine that costs more than most citizens earn in a year. But you eat every meal wondering if this will be your last. The poison you use on others could just as easily find its way to your cup. You taste everything twice now. Your food taster died last month. Natural causes, the physician said. You hired 3 new ones. The physical work is done by others now. You have not held a blade in months. Instead, you hold conversations. You shape opinions. You plant seeds of doubt that bloom into daggers. A senator begins questioning the emperor's judgment after speaking with you. A general starts noticing the loyalty of his subordinates. These conversations are your weapons now. Your villa contains a room no one else may enter. Maps, scrolls, coded ledgers, names connected by thin red threads. Some threads end abruptly, where names have been crossed out. Others stretch across the Mediterranean, waiting for your command. You spend hours here, playing out scenarios. If this senator dies, who rises? If that general falls, who takes his legions? You are sculpting the future of the known world. The loneliness is absolute. Every friendship is calculated. Every conversation serves a purpose. Your wife asks about your work, and you tell her about trade negotiations. Your children show you their studies, and you see potential weaknesses in their character that enemies might exploit someday. Love has become another form of surveillance. You receive word that the young patrician has successfully completed his first assignment. His hand still shakes slightly when he reports to you. His eyes still hold questions about right and wrong. You remember having those eyes once. You assign him to eliminate a minor senator. Nothing too important, just enough to finish what training started. Level 10, the shadowmaster. You sit in a villa overlooking the Tiber, but you are not there. You exist in shadows cast across 3 continents. Your name appears on no documents. Your face is remembered by no living witness. You are a whisper that shapes the fate of emperors. 23 operatives report directly to you. They believe they know your identity. They are wrong. The man they think is you died in Alexandria 2 years ago. His body feeds fish in the harbor while his name continues to sign orders. You've worn 7 different faces in 7 different cities. Memory becomes negotiable when you control who lives to remember. Your network spans from Britannia to Syria. Senators die choking on wine in their gardens. Governors fall from balconies they never approached. Merchants disappear between warehouse and home, their cargo redistributed to more cooperative hands. Each death appears unconnected, natural, the work of bandits, or accident, or divine displeasure. Only you see the pattern because you are the pattern. You receive reports through dead drops in temple foundations. A loose stone behind a statue of Minerva. A hollowed scroll case sealed in a merchant's grain shipment. The information flows upward like blood through veins you have spent decades constructing. You know which Praetorian Guard captain takes bribes, which senator's son visits particular brothels, which governor's wife corresponds with enemies of the state. Knowledge becomes currency when death is your mint. Your hands no longer shake. They have not held a blade in 8 years. Your kills now happen through layers of separation so complex that tracing them back to you would require more investigators than the Empire employs. You gesture toward a map, and cities bleed. You speak a name, and it becomes past tense. Distance has made you divine. Sleep comes in 30-minute intervals. Your dreams contain faces of men whose deaths you ordered, whose names you have forgotten. Your stomach burns from rich food you cannot taste. Wine turns bitter in your mouth because trust died in you somewhere between your 100th kill and your 1000th order. You eat alone. You sleep alone. You exist alone at the center of an empire of shadows you built and can never leave. The Empire believes in natural death, in accident, in the random cruelty of fate. You know better. Every significant death in the last decade has been your signature written in blood across marble floors. History will record the work of fortune and divine will. You are both and neither. A young man walks through the Subura tonight, quick with a knife, hungry for coin. He has killed twice for bread money. Someone will notice. Someone will make an offer. Someone will mention the brotherhood that serves Rome's hidden needs. He has no idea what's coming. The cycle continues.